first. So I watched it. I took some sort of generalized notes here, and then I would think about it sort of one stem at a time because it's shorter. So the first thing that I would do is I'd put in markers for just the backgrounds and ambiances. So backgrounds and ambiances are just these continuous sounds that we heard about in one of the first weeks. In the Holy, it was in a video called Holy Foley, but he talked about that as something that defines where we are. It also creates continuity. So you could sort of hear some sort of scars in the dialogue when it's cutting back and forth between different characters sometimes. And also we have some just blank holes here. So I'm going to go back to my first frame of action, and then I'm just going to watch this one frame at a time. So hopefully you have things set up. So your grid value, and I don't here, so I'm going to fix this. So the grid value should never be a second, because a second is not accurate enough. So I'm going to make this be one frame instead. I'm going to go up to my grid value. I'm also going to go to my nudge value and do that. Change that to one frame as well, which we did in other videos. So then I'm just going to hit the period key or the comma key or the greater than or less than key if you're a math major. Or if you have an extended keyboard, you can hit the plus or minus keys. And then I'm just gonna do where different backgrounds start. So I'll figure out exactly where Grandpa comes in. There he is. All right, and then I will create a marker. So I can create a marker by, if you have a Mac, at least you can hit function enter, function return, and then it'll create a marker. On a PC, I don't think you can do that. I think you have to go up to the markers ruler here and then click on the add memory location. And then, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do my backgrounds first. So I'm just going to call this a BG. So in some parts of the country, they call it a background. Other parts, they call it an ambiance. Essentially the same thing. So I'm just going to call it, well, I'll do both. We'll call it BG amp. Oops. Nah, that's two. I'm just going to call it BG. Or I'll just call it amp. Oops. And this is park. And then in the comments, like we did in our other assignment, I might write the search criteria that I would use. So I got kids playing. I have birds. Distant cars, depending on how I want to, what mood or feeling I'm trying to create. Birds, distant cars. And I could sort of reuse these things. And then I will go back. And so I'm not going to worry about his footsteps here. I'm just going to hit the plus key and just go to the next place where I'm going to need a sound. So I would actually do the backgrounds and ambiances first when I'm putting sounds in as well, because I may run out of time. So I have a perspective change here. So I'll put in a marker here. I'm going to call this park. And then this is, I'll maybe write the shot distance. So I'll write in medium shot. The other one is a close-up. So I can revise these by going back and just double clicking the marker and the marker ruler. And then this is a close up here. And then I'll go somewhere here, hit the plus key until it changes. And then, so here, I'm going to need the sound of that dryer. So I'm going to have ambiance dryer. And then I will hit the plus key until things change. So after mom exits the scene, I don't want to be thinking about the dryer anymore. So I'd probably fade the dryer out there And then when it gets to the dad here, I would write ambiance kitchen. So a kitchen where nothing is going on is kind of a hard one to find, but it's out there. And then if I want to get super detailed, I would get the differences in the cuts when it comes to Angela next to the fridge. So I don't really care when Angela walks up. I would probably replace the footsteps. That's relatively easy to do. I also think we hear the footsteps twice. But if I'm trying to do this quickly, I'm just going to put in backgrounds and ambiances if they came to me with a limited budget. So I'm just leaving my hand on the period key. And so I'm going to need kitchen ambiance until we get outdoors again. So I'm just going to keep doing it until I have a scene change. So if I really wanted to be detailed about it and I had the time and I had the budget, I would put one in for each one of these cuts, put a marker in, but I don't. I'm trying to do this quickly because I have other classes to deal with here. I'm taking 15 units this term. I don't know what your workload is, but you probably want to do this as quickly as possible while still being thorough because you want to be professional. And then so when we switch to the outdoor thing, the park scene, so I'm already a minute in. I'm basically most of the way through this. So I am going to have a perspective thing here. So I'm going to do ambiance, park, basketball court. This is a wide shot. So I'm thinking about other things that I'm going to need. So I heard the basketball bounces, but I did not hear Grandpa walking up. So as I'm sort of going through this, I'm brainstorming. I'm not going to put a marker for it right now. I'm just going to do this one sort of stem at a time. So what I would do, the way that I handle this normally, is I would actually have different sessions for each one of these things. I'd do backgrounds. I would do one thing with backgrounds. I'd do one thing with Foley, another session, and then I'd do one for dialogue. So I have a perspective change here. So I'm going to put ambiance, park, CU. And this is BB scene. Then advance the thing by hitting the period key. You remember you can hit the comma key to go backwards. So right now, what people were thinking about how do I put in 10 markers? 10 markers is really easy to do. And in the original assignment, in the step 1 assignment, I sort of said, you're probably going to need way more than 10, or you're going to want way more than 10. But we'll check after we switch here. So there is a perspective change, and that might be important. So I'm going to put a marker in for that. So, but like this, they're sort of still right next to each other. So the backgrounds, they aren't going to change very much. But when we go to this shot, where it's sort of a wide shot, I'll put in a marker here. So this is ambiance, park, BB scene, and this is a wide shot. So I'll write WS. So wide shot, by the way, is where we see the entire character in there. Like a medium shot, we would see like the upper half. Close up, we would just see their face. Or that's what me as an audio editor would tell you. These markers are for you. They're not for me. So I don't really care what you call it. If you want to get more intricate, as long as you understand the markers, that is what is important. So, and then we go to a close-up. I wouldn't worry about a perspective change there. And then we are indoors. So, so this is the bedroom. This is ambiance bedroom. So I'm not going to worry very much about the bedroom, but it also tells me where the other one ends. So then I just advance it, keep going one frame at a time. And I'm just thinking about where the ambiances begin and end. Because a lot of times, like I said, you will only have a chance to put in markers, or you'll only have a chance to put in sound for backgrounds and ambiances and edit the dialogue. And that's all the time and the budget allows. So we're in one room. So technically we're about to go into a different room. So this room is a tiny bit different. So maybe I'll put in a marker here as well. So ambiance, bedroom 2. And so this one, remember, has that exterior sound leaking in. This is where she understands. She's the only one that is aware that grandpa left the house, and we don't know what's wrong with grandpa. So bedroom 2. And so this one, I'm going to put some other indicator, or I can write it down in my comments here, remember. So I'm going to do exterior noises, suburban ambiance. Bedroom 2, or I can write suburban up here too, maybe. Suburban exterior. And then I'll just hit the plus key. And so again, or sorry, like if you have an extended keyboard, you can hit the plus key. It's what I'm used to. But if you have just a normal keyboard, you just hit the period key. Just advance it one frame at a time. And then we get closer to the window. We could actually sort of turn it up here and change things. But like when she's right next to the window, I want to change this here. So this is ambiance, bedroom 2. And then suburban, this is, I have all the information on the previous one, so I'm just going to write, this is close up. And then hit the play, or don't play it. Just advance it one frame at a time using the period key greater than a less than key. And then next thing, we go into the kitchen. So I need my kitchen ambiance back again. But the cool thing is this is California, man. Let's recycle. You can use the same sounds. They tell the same story. So I might be able to get away with using that same sound again. So ambiance, the kitchen, and then advance it until I'm out of the kitchen. And if I'm smart here, I could sort of skip ahead, so because I know what's happening in the movie. The dialogue ends, and then I can figure out, I could just skip ahead to where things are blank, and I know the exterior is blank here. So I'm going to find the beginning of this, call it park. Pond. I'm going to write pond as a different detail because I want something different. I could use some of the sounds again and then change some of them too. So I will and I could write comments down here. So I can write birds, kids playing. But kids playing and birds, for that matter, sort of denote that things are sort of happy, but I don't know that things are happy for grandpa. So, and then I want the sound of a pond, definitely. It tells us we're sort of in a different place. And then I do have a perspective change if I want to denote it here. And this is ambiance pond. Two. It's the wide shot. And then hopefully I have a marker for the last frame of action. Actually, I don't yet. So I'm going to create a marker for the last frame of action. Normally I like to have that at the beginning. So one little trick in terms of navigation is I could go to the video track here. And then if I just hit the tab, put the cursor on it with the selector tool and hit the tab key, it takes me to the end. And then I will create a marker there. And then I will call this LFOA for the last frame of action, because that's useful information.